These people don't hate us for the friends we have, they hate us for who we are.
Global terrorism has touched our shores. We know that we have to deal with it.
The people who you've taught the techniques of terror and revolution and upset, you can't keep them where you'd like them kept. They have a funny way of finding their way back.
Today, the city within a city known as the World Trade Center is back to work. Security has been tightened. Yet this is an extraordinary place that handles 70,000 people coming and going on the average day. And there is no way to guarantee absolutely their safety. Impossible not to feel then even today the havoc and the blind panic such a bomb in such a building must have created. What happened on a wet Friday lunchtime in February has scarred everyone who works here.
Please swear this.
Well, I think people's lives changed on the 26th of February. It's given us a heightened awareness of global terrorism. It has touched our shores. We know that we have to deal with it.
Down in what was the car park, where the bombers left a 1,500-pound device in a hired van, they're still rebuilding the basement floors blown away in a matter of seconds. From that moment, from the very beginning, the Americans were convinced this was not a one-off attack from an isolated group of eccentric extremists. What they found, however, is a new breed of terrorist, inspired more by religious zealotry than political goals, and men who were targeting America for what kind of society America is at home, not, as others before them, for what America is doing abroad. Along the way, there have been some fairly shocking discoveries for the FBI and the police. Chief among them, that the United States once trained and financed those who came to the World Trade Center back in February to leave that car bomb here in the basement. Mohammed Salome, the bomber who bizarrely went back to pick up his deposit on the rented van that carried the bomb, was the first to be arrested. He's a Palestinian from Jordan. Others who've since been detained here are Egyptian and Sudanese, yet there is one experience that links them all.
There's a common thread that runs through it, and that is they're all one way or another people who were connected to or participated in the war in Afghanistan. Not Afghanis, but people who were either recruited to assist or recruited to participate or participated in camps where people were trained to fight in Afghanistan.
And who was running those camps? Who was doing the recruiting?
This stuff was being done by Pakistanis and ISI, who were in effect managing the Afghan war for the United States, but with very considerable assistance, financial support, and management ideas from the United States.
ISI is the Pakistani intelligence service which recruited and trained Muslim warriors of the Mujahideen for the war in Afghanistan, always with the help of America's CIA on the ground, and $3 billion worth of financial and material support from the American government.
A lot of the Afghan veterans are now training in Sudan, being trained by the Revolutionary Guard, Iran's Revolutionary Guard, that has established a substantial presence in Sudan. This has been confirmed by the United States, other governments, etc. They receive training in Sudan by the Revolutionary Guard, and then they go into Egypt to work against Mubarak, and some of them apparently have come here and are involved in some of this plotting that we've seen.
In other words, those who the Americans initially produced are now being trained by the Iranians.
It appears so.
To be used against the United States.
It appears so, yes, yes.
These people don't hate us for the friends we have, they hate us for who we are. And that's a much more fundamental problem. It's fundamental for Americans, much more difficult to understand.
And what are the targets going to be as a result?
The targets, so far as we can tell from what we've seen, are largely symbolic. The World Trade Center disrupting the financial center, going after tunnels, infrastructure targets. And basically, they're just trying to send a message of hatred for what America stands for. The great Satan, the great corrupter, the den of thieves and fornicators, as this sheikh calls us.
The problem we now confront is the world has become so tiny, both in terms of communication and transportation. You can't guarantee that the people who you've trained or taught or shown the techniques of terror and revolution and upset, you can't keep them where you'd like them kept. they have a funny way of, when they're unemployed and underemployed, finding their way back.
Finding their way back to cities like New York, where today the FBI is warning that no public building can afford not to impose new security, and where tens of thousands of people have recently been using other routes in and out of Manhattan, keeping away from the bridges and the tunnels named by the Islamic extremists as their next target. David Smith, Channel 4 News, New York.